Welcome to my video, please subscribe my channel. A subtle but significant shift is underway in the triangular relationship between India, China and the United States. India's External Affairs Minister, S. Jaishankar, has hinted at recalibrating New Delhi's foreign policy, emphasizing that differences with China must not become disputes. This signals a move away from confrontation, possibly opening the door to renewed engagement. The timing is crucial, as Prime Minister Modi prepares for his first visit to China in 7 years. This potential thaw is partly a reaction to increasing economic pressure from Washington, including steep tariffs on Indian goods. In response, India is exploring alternative partnerships, and China is set to resume the supply of essential goods to India. The deadly Galwan Valley clash in 2020, and India's subsequent economic retaliation, marked a low point, but the calculus is shifting. American economic coercion and shared interests may be pushing India and China toward cautious rapprochement. The question remains, can this new chapter overcome deep mistrust, or is it just a temporary adjustment in a long, complicated game? The Trump administration's tariffs on India are officially about India's trade with Russia, especially crude oil purchases. Yet, China, and even US allies in Europe, buy more Russian energy, suggesting a deeper motive. The real target may be India's vast protected agricultural sector, valued at 99 trillion rupees. For decades, India has shielded its farmers with high tariffs. American rice faces duties up to 80%, and US dairy up to 60%. Opening this market would devastate India's 150 million agricultural workers, as American products heavily subsidized would undercut local prices. A State Bank of India report warns US milk could sell for 32 rupees per liter, far below India's 50 rupee average. Such a price drop would be catastrophic for Indian farmers, who already operate on thin margins. A flood of cheap imports could trigger a price collapse, forcing many into bankruptcy. This isn't just economic, it's a profound social and political challenge. India faces a tough choice: yield to US demands and risk upheaval, or resist and face escalating penalties. The stakes for India's rural economy and political stability couldn't be higher. As Western pressure mounts, a compelling case emerges for India to partner more closely with China. China is shifting from low-cost manufacturing to high-tech, high-margin industries, creating opportunities for others. Chinese manufacturing wages have soared from 79 cents an hour in 2005 to over $6 in 2021. As China moves up the value chain, India, with its large young workforce, can fill the gap in labor-intensive manufacturing. This is the essence of the China Plus One strategy. Multinationals diversify production, adding India as a key hub. India needs millions of manufacturing jobs, and this shift could accelerate its industrial growth. The partnership isn't about replacing China but complementing it. China focuses on design and innovation, India on assembly and labor. This symbiotic relationship could drive shared prosperity and reshape Asia's economic landscape. The logic is clear: collaboration could benefit both nations for decades to come. The shift from theory to reality is visible as major corporations embrace the China Plus One strategy. Foxconn, Apple's main assembler, is investing billions in Indian factories, creating thousands of jobs and integrating India into global tech supply chains. Samsung closed its last Chinese smartphone factory in 2019, moving production to India and Vietnam to cut costs and access new markets. Hasbro is shifting 60% of its manufacturing out of China, with India as a key destination. These moves signal the end of China's sole dominance in low-cost manufacturing. For India, this means revitalizing labor-intensive industries and boosting employment. Xiaomi offers a model for collaboration design and engineering in China, assembly in India, with nearly all devices for the Indian market made locally. This arrangement lets China retain high-margin work, while India gains jobs and technology transfer. Such partnerships deepen economic ties and foster mutual growth. The China Plus One strategy is no longer just a concept, it's transforming the region's manufacturing landscape. Despite new opportunities with China, India's dependence on the United States remains profound. Bilateral trade has soared to over $118 billion, with India enjoying a $45 billion surplus, a vital source of stability. The IT sector, worth $200 billion, relies on the US for half its exports. Disruption would be devastating for millions of Indian workers. The pharmaceutical industry, another export powerhouse, sends 40% of its generics to the US, fueling the growth of Indian pharma giants. Any change in U.S. trade policy could hit these sectors hard. The U.S. is also India's third-largest defense supplier, creating long-term dependencies for hardware and upgrades. American technology dominates India's digital life, from Android phones to Gmail and WhatsApp. This deep integration means India can't easily pivot away from the US without risking economic and technological setbacks. The American connection is both a strength and a vulnerability. India's challenge is to balance new partnerships without jeopardizing its most critical economic ties. The stakes are high. Any misstep could ripple across India's economy and society. Navigating this relationship requires careful diplomacy and strategic foresight. The US remains an inescapable part of India's future. The logic for closer India-China ties collides with a deep history of mistrust. This distrust dates back to the 1962 war, when China's surprise attack shattered Nehru's vision of Asian solidarity. India's early goodwill, recognizing China, supporting its UN entry, and signing the Panchsheel Agreement, was met with betrayal. The war was a national trauma, exposing India's military weaknesses and costing thousands of lives and territory. It forced India to seek Western aid, altering its geopolitical stance. The scars of 1962 still shape Indian policy and public opinion, fueling skepticism toward China's intentions. Every new overture is viewed through the lens of past betrayal. This trust deficit is a formidable barrier to any real partnership. For India, history is a constant reminder to tread carefully, no matter the economic incentives. Beyond manufacturing, the real prize in an India-China partnership is their combined consumer market. 2.8 billion people, over a third of humanity. The rapidly growing middle class in both countries unlocks immense purchasing power. India's middle class now exceeds 500 million, China's is over 430 million. Together they form a consumer base larger than the US and EU combined. Lowering trade barriers could create a self-sustaining economic bloc, driving innovation and growth from within Asia. Regional supply chains and financial systems could challenge Western dominance. Indian software could find new audiences in China, while Chinese electronics meet Indian demand. Shared prosperity could overcome old divisions, if both sides seize the opportunity. India stands at a crossroads, balancing two global giants with competing interests. The US is the known devil, predictable but demanding, offering stability at a cost. China is the unknown angel, promising economic opportunity but shadowed by mistrust and strategic risk. Choosing one over the other would mean sacrificing either critical economic ties or a chance for industrial growth. The risks of full alignment with either are too high for a nation seeking autonomy. India's best path is to skillfully manage both relationships, leveraging one to create space with the other. The goal: maintain strategic autonomy, cooperate with both, and avoid being forced into a new Cold War. By balancing these powers, India can protect its interests and carve out its own role in a multipolar world. The future depends on India's ability to walk this diplomatic tightrope.